Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of Basking in the Spotlight. Basking in the Spotlight is through the Behavioral Alliance of South Carolina, which is a grant-funded initiative of the Department of Education's Office of Special Education Services out of the University of South Carolina's Psychology Department in our research lab with our school behavioral health team. For those of you that may be joining us for the first time today, Basking really gives us the opportunity to uplift our educators and our community members who are just doing an outstanding job at showing love to our students, whether it's in the virtual setting or in our more traditional setting. I'm really pleased to bring to you all today an incredible educator with a insurmountable, incredible heart. Sarah Livingston is a special education teacher. She works at Lake Murray Elementary School, Lexington, out of Lexington 1. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, let you share a little bit about yourself with our school behavioral health community, and then ask you some compassionate curiosity questions about the work that you do with our kiddos. So welcome, Sarah.
Hey, Taylor. Okay, so like Taylor said, I'm Sarah Livingston. I teach a CC3 class at Lake Murray Elementary in Lexington School District 1. Go Mariners. I have been a teacher. This is only my fourth year teaching, but I left for a little while and came back. And I think we'll kind of delve into that when we start talking about, what your passion is and why I'm a teacher and things like that. But I love my school. I'm very excited to have the classroom that I have. I know we're going to mention the distance learning period. That's been kind of something that everyone's getting used to, the new norm. And that's been kind of hard for me, but we'll talk about that later. So I have a master's plus 30 in special education from the University of South Carolina. And then I have an undergrad from the University of South Carolina, go Gamecocks as well. So that's pretty much all. I mean, I guess we can just dive right into the questions if you want.
Awesome. Well, you know that I'm a Gamecock as well.
I know
We've
you
had the
are.
privilege of being friends for a number of years. So it really is awesome that, that we get to sit down and talk about exactly what you said, which is passion, right? The passion that fuels your work. So I was hoping that you would share with our community, what is it about being an educator rather, especially an individual that specializes in special needs? What special needs work with our students? What does that mean to you?
That's a really good question, and you put it a good way. I think in life, whatever you choose to do, you have to find something that you're passionate about, something that, warms your heart and brings you joy. And when I was little, I'll kind of take it back to how I got into this to begin with. When I was little in the 5th grade at Nursery Road Elementary in Irmo, I was a buddy for kids in special needs. And I just fell in love with them. I mean, they have such a heart. These kids, they're just like any other kid, they smile, they laugh, they can be frustrated, they can be angry. But for me, it was just something that I can't really describe it. It's a very intangible feeling, but it brought so much joy to my life. And I thought the more that I grew up and was around kids in special needs classes, I knew that there was something that I needed to do to be involved. And then I taught a little bit up near Charlotte, and I wasn't being fulfilled, but I think at the same time, I wasn't fully mature and ready to listen to my mind and my heart is what I was really wanting to do. And so I was a little confused. I was like, am I doing the right thing, or should it be more, volunteer work? So I took a break, but then I quickly realized that being a special educator was definitely something that I needed to do, because I'm a leader in my mind. I'm a very much a challenger person. I'm a leader. I like to be the voice. I like to be boots on the ground, as you say. And if I'm not being the change I want to see, then no one's going to follow suit after that. And so I think that's kind of what brought me back to teaching, was saying, if I want to see a change, I've got to get back in there and start doing it and take an action, take a step, introduce what I'm thinking inclusion should look like in my own community, and then it will follow suit from there, if that makes sense.
100% that makes sense. And I mean, I think you keyed in there on a few points, especially, to share with our community members the work that is being done within our schools, and the job of an educator, whether you're teaching gen ed or you are working with special needs students, is that you really are an advocate, right? You're an advocate for those students. And so much of the work that's being done is really making sure that everyone understands the needs, the diversity of needs, the beautiful diversity of needs of our students across the state of South Carolina. And it sounds like that's something for you, especially using words like inclusion, that was very important, especially with your population. So with that being said, and focusing a little bit on inclusion here, what would you like the community to know about either supporting the population of students that you work with or specialize in working with, or what would you just like the community to know about these incredible kids?
Well, that's a good question. So when I was in grad school, inclusion was really the main focus of every course I took. It was talking about, now is the time to be inclusive and to introduce children with special needs more and more at a younger age to general education classes so that they kind of come together and people don't see differences. We focus on all these other things that people may look at and say, oh, well, you're different and you're different. But at a younger age, kids are just so pure and they don't see the things that we see as adults that make us different from each other. I mean, everyone is unique. Everyone is an individual, and we have to celebrate that. So if you can bring that together at a younger age, acceptance happens like quickly, And I think that's one thing that I want the community to know, especially here. But I am very proud of Lexington 1. I love my district. It's such an inclusive district. It's very supportive of special education. We have a very large special education department. We have wonderful leaders in that department as well. But also Lake Murray Elementary, I'm kind of devoted to Lake Murray because my father was the assistant principal there for a very long time. But I remember even when I was living in Charlotte and I was in a different working environment, I would come back and visit my dad, and I would just see the love that everyone in that school, whether it was the principals, teachers, other students, they all loved these children. And I'm like, if everyone can see the framework that they have built at this school, we could make such a difference, not only in South Carolina, but across the globe, And I think, especially with social media now, that's why, like you've said, I post a lot on social media about my class and my students and how much I love what I do and how proud of them I am. And I'm very close with all their families. It's something to celebrate. It's something that we have to start noticing, that every kid deserves a chance to be seen as a unique individual and be accepted. And at Lake Murray, it is such a unified experience. From the moment you walk in those doors, Miss Stanley is a wonderful principal. Miss Clamp and Mr. Black are amazing assistant principals. And they come and check on my kids. They promote inclusion. But the staff itself is we're a huge family, and they're very supportive of my vision and my dream for what I want to see happen across a period of time at our school. I've been very fortunate as well to work with a mentor who's been in the industry for a very long time. She was kind of like a co-teacher, mentor to me, because our population is growing, which is amazing. So they brought me on to add another class. And so I just think all in all, we're working every year. We're coming up with new ideas. And two things I'm really proud of at Lake Murray is we do a unified PE program where our students work with third graders, and they're kind of like buddies. And the beauty of that is I don't have to do anything. These kids will ask me questions, based on our population that we work with. But other than that, I step back and I let these kids work with our students, and you just see these beautiful relationships and friendships and bonds being built. And then when you go out in the hallways, they say hey to my students when we're in the hallways, and they, say their names, or they come up and give them a high five. And then the fifth graders, we have a program that they've been doing at Lake Murray forever. It's called the Friendly Helpers. So instead of going to recess, it's a leadership team where they come in and they either take our kids to the playground, they read them stories, they play with them. I'll do like a reading comprehension lesson and they'll help me read to the kids, and then we'll do an activity. And I think that alone is just showing them that, our kids have so many abilities. I don't say our kids are, have special needs or disabilities. They have so many abilities that we need to shine a light on. And their personalities just light up when they're around same-aged peers. And so the culture at our school is just very enveloping and loving and accepting. And I think if we can do that in one building, we can do it across the board. And I think that's really what my goal is. And I think that's what makes my heart grow when I see that happen. That's what gives me the fire inside of myself that I need to see, okay, if I can do it here, we can do it everywhere else too. And so I think that's really what I want the community to know is it can happen. It is happening. And, our goal as special educators is to close that gap, as you said, is to bring acceptance and inclusion and love all the way around. And I know we can do it.
I'm literally just beaming with pride at every word that just came out of your mouth. I think that you touch on everything that we talk about so much when it comes to school climate, and really making sure that you have that environment that creates connectedness, that you've got the programming that brings students together with their peers, across a variety of ages, across a variety of lived experiences. So that they do have that school connectedness, which we know promotes more positive academics. We know it has a positive impact on administration as well as our educators who are providing those opportunities for our kiddos. And something that I wanted to touch on that it sounds like is very important for your school as well as for your program is that family engagement piece, because you said, on your social media, you really do use that platform to uplift hope in a really powerful way. And I see you laying on the ground with your kids and loving them and sharing that with their families. So how do y'all promote family engagement? Because that is such a massive piece of the work that we do. Could you share a little bit about that, whether it's in regards to just kind of your school as a whole or particularly your program?
Yeah, I think going back to Lexington 1 as a whole, one of our mission statements is to empower each child to design the future, right? So that also starts with inside of each of us as an educator or a principal or a parent. We have to empower these children to believe they can do it because they can. Not, oh, you can do it, and they're like, oh, you have to say that. No, you can do it because you can do it. I've seen you do it, and I know you can do more. So you have to do that. And also we say in Lexington 1, all means all. So when you say all means all, to me, I think we can each take that statement and interpret it as each person will, but I interpret that as all means all when it comes to my students, their parents, relationships with the parents and the other educators, the other administrators in the building. We have an open door policy at Lake Murray Elementary, and even in Lexington 1, we really are just this huge family unit. I hope every school is like this, but that's kind of my dream, and that's kind of how I see things. But it's an indescribable bond that we all have with each other. And I think, especially with a group of students like I have to be very accessible to the families. And, I don't just talk to them once a week. A lot of my students' parents bring them to school in the mornings, or I write a note home every day saying how their day was. They have my phone number. I know some people probably aren't all about giving parents their phones, but for me, I'm always there. I'm always on call. Whatever you need, I'll be there. I've been invited to birthday parties and going away parties. Things like that. And especially during this distance learning, I've actually enjoyed that. I know you're going to get to that in a minute, but I've enjoyed that more because I'm able to one-on-one have long drawn out conversations with my parents, way more than just a hi and goodbye in the mornings. And so I feel like they know me a lot more and I know them a lot more. And it really is that family piece. And so when you know what these parents want for their children, especially with students in special education, that has got to be the forefront of your educating them. That has got to be the main focus, is the health of the child, the well-being of the child, the happiness, quality of life, and just making sure that my other thing is we have to laugh every day. If I can do that, then I know that their parents are going to be A-okay with what I'm doing, and they're going to know that I love their child as if he or she were my own. And when you leave your building every day knowing that you gave it all you had and you're sending that child home the same way they came in, or if not, happier, or, you've laughed a little bit, then you've done what you were there to do. Because I don't call it a job. It's a passion, it's a career, and it's just these special relationships that I get to build. But you have to be very cognizant of what from Jump Street, what the parents want. And you have to prove, so to speak, yourself to them, because just like any parent, their child is their number one thing in life, is to take care of that baby and to love on that baby. And so, it's hard when you first get a new one that you haven't worked with before. Those parents they're going to look at you and say, all right, well, these are my expectations. And so, you have that to think about as well when you think about focusing on the family as a unit. You don't just focus on your student, you focus on the whole entire unit of the family. And then when you do that, you will see a change in your relationship with those parents as well.
I absolutely love your systemic outlook, and that's something that's so necessary for the work that that we're doing in our schools. And it sounds to me, not only is Lex One a family, and that's actually the language that I use as well within our school systems, is these are families, whether it's the school or the district at large. But what you've done a really beautiful job with is being that model for not just having the family within the four walls of your school, but also making sure that you are embedding yourself within the families of your students, so that you're being respectful of their belief systems, their value systems, their specific goals, and where they're trying to reach, so you're building trust and you're building rapport. And that's so critical, whether we're looking at students with special needs or we're looking at our general education population. We want folks to know that, just like you said, this is a passion, this is a calling. And for you, as well as, all of our educators, all of the individuals that are embedded within our school system, whether it's in leadership position, boots on the ground position, whatever the case may be, everyone is in this to build a larger family. And that's so very much about the community in South Carolina. And I generally appreciate that. And something that you did just say that I liked was, this transition to a virtual setting has added a lot of different needs to adapt. It has really pulled on the resiliency of our staff, of our faculty, of our leadership and administration. And one thing that you pointed out was you found a silver lining in that having that virtual connectedness with the families has allowed you to have more time with them and to create deeper levels of connection. So as we look at transitioning back into a more traditional setting, do you think that there's anything that you've learned about or that you're going to take from this virtual setting to the more traditional setting, once we get back to, what's going to be ultimately our new normal, especially through the lens of working with students with special needs?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of takeaways from this. It has been a very, it's ebbing and flowing when you're a special educator, and I think an educator in general. I am very proud of South Carolina educators and, just educators in general. But I mean, the watching all of the updates during the COVID-19 and, the press conferences and things like that. I mean, we really came together as a unit across the state of South Carolina. And I mean, we were pushed to to do things we've never had to do before. Luckily, I've been in corporate America, so I know how to do certain things that I was required to do when it comes to having to log a lot of information and things like that. But for me, it was when, and I think any educator will say this, when you work with children every day, and that's your passion and that's your purpose, when they are taken away from you and you're taken away from them, it does not just affect the children, it affects the teacher. It affects the person that is the educator, because we are sitting here going, okay, I have so many students. I'm not with them every day. I don't know if they, I don't care what grade, where you live, high school, middle school, whatever. Students have to have structure. They have to have a routine. That is something from a very young age that teaches them about rules, protocols, and it teaches them life skills. You have to have a routine. So when you are taken quickly and abruptly from your routine, it not only affects the children, it affects the teacher, because then I have to come in and go, okay, well, what am I going to do to make sure that I'm providing them at least the supplemental standard, if not going above and beyond, to make sure they have everything they need during this distance learning period. And, I do think that I went above and beyond. Bless my students' parents. They're probably like, oh gosh, this is a lot of work. But, I know my students can do it, and I know structure and routine is what's important. So if we can keep a little bit of that in place while they're still away from school, I think it will help at home. And I know, because let's be honest, a lot of parents have put it on social media. They are not teachers for a reason. Just like I am not an attorney. I am not a doctor for a reason. I'll leave that to other people. So I can only imagine what families are going through trying to work from home, teach 3 different children at different grade levels and things like that. So we try to mainstream it and streamline as much as possible, but also maintain the things that they had already learned. So 2 things I did learn was I'm definitely going to be ordering some book sets for my kids, so that, because I do a lot of reading with my kids. That's one thing that's really, really huge to me, is reading and reading comprehension. And, my kids love stories. So I thought, instead of just sending choice boards, because we made these choice boards where they could pick like 3 to 4 activities a day that were specifically generated and made for each child, that their parents could do with them, whether it would be, socially or reading, math, adaptive skills, things like that. But being able to just send home, book kits with parents so that they can read with their kids and see, kind of have that go from what we do at school to being able to see those skills at home and practice those skills at home. So that was one thing that I really, really learned that I wanted to do. But also, I think I'm going to maintain the FaceTime and the Zoom. I mean, I have absolutely loved being able to check in weekly. There goes that message again. I've loved being able to check in weekly with my family. Some of them we call Monday and Friday, and I get to see my kids, and I get to see the families, and, answer any questions. It's very hard to answer questions on something that you've never created before. Then you hand it off to the family when they come and pick up the packets. And I'm like, okay, if you need anything, let me know. And they're probably sitting at home looking at this going, what am I supposed to do? So when I'm able to, like, having a conversation with you, it is real time. It is real conversation. I can say, hey, on choice board number 1, did you have any questions? Do you want me to go over how we do analytics or this, that, and the other? So, and again, writing notes home every day was wonderful, but I was giving them information and they were not giving me feedback, because let's face it, I'm a woman. I write a lot down and I have big handwriting, and I go and go and go about how wonderful the day was. And so there's no room left for them to respond to me. But that, and then emailing as well. But I think definitely the Zoom calls, and then also reading. Those are the 2 things that I really took away from something that I want to change when we go back in, hopefully in the fall.
I think that's incredible. That's a testament to your resilience and your adaptability, and you're speaking towards the adaptability of all of our educators, and districts throughout our state, within this time. And you truly are a testament to what it means to love and care about our students, to be an advocate, to be an ally, to be inclusive, and to really be a part of what makes our communities incredibly strong. And it's been such a privilege to be able to speak with you today, and I hope that when our caregivers throughout the state watch this, or watch our Basking in the Spotlight, when our leadership throughout the state watches this, it just continues to facilitate how important and how incredibly blessed we are to have the type of individuals embedded in our schools, loving and truly loving our kids throughout the state. So before we transition out, I wanted to see if there was any message of hope or a favorite quote that you might have that you want to share, whether it's with our community or with our students, and it can be something simple, or if you want to wax poetic. I don't know if if you've got a few lines that maybe you wrote.
Let me pull out some Shakespeare.
Yeah.
No, I think honestly the truest and most sincere thing that I can say and express to anybody, not just educators, but just in humanity, is when you find something that makes your heart burst with joy and pride, and it gives you this sense of, I know my purpose in life, I know what my plan is, and now I can create the journey that I was made to create to make a difference in the world. As soon as you realize what that is, you have to go all in, because honestly, I didn't think this was my purpose in life, but apparently after a little time away, I realized it was. And so now that I've accepted that, and I see the joy that it brings not only to my students and their families, but it brings to me. And I feel the passion. Every day is a new day, and every day is an exciting day. I think once you find that in your life, you have to hone in on it and you have to run with it. And if you can take one step forward on your journey, or take an action, be the change, create a conversation, create an organic situation where the kids can be around each other, or whatever it is in your life, then I think you're doing something in the right direction to make a change with that, with whatever that passion is of yours. So that's what I would say.
I love it. So from Sarah Livingston to your ears, take action towards your passion. I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Sarah. Share with the community here. We will make sure to have Sarah's video available on our Facebook page. So please follow us at Advancing SPH on Facebook. We will make sure to promote that on Monday. We also have Working Through It Wednesdays that we promote on our Facebook. You can also access all of our resources, including our repository of content, all of our past and future webinars on our website at www.schoolbehavioralhealth.org/BASC. We look forward to seeing y'all next time, and please register for our upcoming webinar, which will be with Dr. Aiden Iacini, and you can find that information on our website as well. So from my heart to yours, and with great gratitude to Lex Warren, and with great gratitude to Sarah Livingston, thank you so much for being with us today, and I look forward to chatting with you more in the future and watching all of this passion become action. All right, everyone, y'all have a fabulous day, and we appreciate you. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.